Hi all, welcome to new class. It's class 6, chapter 10, Gift of Maggie. We are very privileged to learn a new story written by O. Henry named The Gift of Maggie. Such a very famous classical short story which tells us the story of love, story of sharing and the story of giving. I hope somewhere, somehow, you may have learned or read or heard this story before. But again, let's learn this chapter in detail. As I said, this story is written by O. Henry. Let's read and excavate what's the message in it and enjoy learning. We are going to read the whole chapter and will explain to you. Chapter 10, The Gift of Maggie. I hope all of you have textbook. $1.87. That was all. And 60 cents of it was in pennies. Pennies saved 1 and 2 at a time by bulldozing the grocer and vegetable man, until one went red with embarrassment at the miscellaneous of it all. 3 times Della counted it. $1.87, and the next day would be Christmas. So the story is taken place on December 24th. The first character is already introduced, is Della. There was clearly nothing left to do but sit down and cry. Why? She has only 1.87 cents to buy any gift for someone she loves. Who is that? We will read and understand more. Which makes us realize that life is made of sobs and smiles. Perhaps more sobs and less smiles. While Della is thus feeling sorry for herself, let us take a look at her home. A small flat at $8 per week. It was not bad, but it did look like it needed a lot of furnishing. The entrance below was a letterbox into which no letter would go and an electric bell that did not work. The letters on the nameplate looked blurred, as if they had shrunk in response to the owner's shrinking income from $30 to $20 per week. But the owner, Mr. James Dillingham, was not loved any less for it. Whenever he came home, he was called Jim and lovingly hugged by Mrs. James Dillingham Young, already introduced to you as Della, which is all very good. So now, I hope you understood who are the two prominent and main characters of this story. They are Jim and Della, young and loving couples. Della finished crying and powdered her face. She stood by the window and looked out dully at a grey cat walking a grey fence in a grey backyard. So as I said in the earlier, the story is taken place in the previous day of Christmas. Christmas is a day and moment of celebrations. What's the color of Christmas? Yeah, it's being red. But when Della looks to the window, she sees grey cat, grey fence, grey backyard. Which means grey is the color of sorrow and worries. Though it's Christmas season, what she sees, everything is grey. Which means, though it's a time of celebrations, she goes through a life of sorrowful and miseries. What's the reason? She doesn't have enough money to buy a gift for her loving husband, Jim. Tomorrow would be Christmas Day, and she had only $1.87 to buy a present for Jim. Many happy hours she had spent planning for something nice for him, something fine and rare, something worthy of being owned by Jim. There was pier glass between the windows of the room. Suddenly Della whirled from the window and stood before the glass. Her eyes were shining brilliantly, but her face had lost its color. Rapidly she pulled down her hair and let it fall to its full length. The most key and important point of the story is going to be read in the next paragraph, so listen carefully. Now, there were two things which the James Lilligram Youngs took pride in. One was Jim's golden watch that had been his father's and his grandfather's. The other was Della's hair. Had the Queen of Sheba lived in the flat across, Della would have let her hair hang out of the window someday to dry, just to lessen the value of Her Majesty's jewels and gifts. Had King Solomon been the doorman of the building, with all his treasures piled up in the basement, James would have pulled out his watch every time he passed, just to see him pluck his beard with envy. In this paragraph, author has compared Jim and Della with other two characters, King Solomon and Queen Sheba. These two are the characters taken from the Old Testament of Holy Bible. So they are biblical characters. King Solomon is most famous for his wisdom and prudence, and he was visited by Queen Sheba, and their qualities are being compared with Jim and Della by the author. Moving to the next paragraph. So, now Della's beautiful hair fell about her, rippling and shining like a cascade of brown waters. It reached below her knee and almost covered her like a garment. So such a lengthy and beautiful hair she had. And then she did it up again nervously and quickly. She hesitated for a minute and stood still while a tear or two splashed on the worn red carpet. Della quickly put her old brown jacket and old brown hat, with a whirl of skirts and a brilliant sparkle in her eyes. She ran out of the door and down the stairs to the street. She stopped where the sign read, Sovereign, hair goods of all kinds. Della ran up the steps to the shop out of breath. Will you buy my hair? Asked Della. So she decided to sell her hair. $20, said Madam, lifting Della's hair with her hand. Give it to me quick, said Della. The next 2 hours tripped by as if on wings as Della searched the shops for Jim's present. She found it at last. It surely had been made for Jim and no one else. It was a platinum fob chain, simple and elegant, and worthy of the watch. As I said in the earlier, Jim had a pocket watch and she bought a platinum chain to add to the watch. As soon as Della saw it, she knew that it must be for James. It was like him, quiet and precious. $21 they took from her for it, and she hurried home with 87 cents. With that chain on his watch, Jim would not hesitate to look at the time in any company. Grand as the watch was, he sometimes looked at it on the sly because of the old leather strap that he used in place of a chain. Since Della bought the platinum chain, Jim no longer to use his old leather chain. When Della reached home, she got out her curling irons to make her hair look pretty once more. Her head was covered with tiny, close-lying curls that made her look like a naughty schoolboy. She looked at herself in the mirror long and carefully. If Jim does not kill me before he takes a second look at me, he will surely say, I look like a chorus girl. But what could I do? Oh, what could I do with $1.87? She consoles herself that Jim would not agree with her when he knows the real intention of cutting her hair. Jim was never late coming home from work. Della held the fob chain in her hand and sat near the door. When she heard his step on the stairs, she turned white for just a moment. She had a habit of saying little silent prayers about the simplest everyday things, and now she whispered, Please God, make him think I am still pretty. The door opened and Jim stepped in. He looked thin and very serious. Poor fellow, he was only 22 and had to take care of household. He needed a new overcoat and gloves. Jim stepped inside the door and stared at Ella. There was an expression in his eyes that she could not read and terrified her. It was not anger, not surprise, not disapproval, no horror, nor any of the sentiments that she had been prepared for. He simply stared at her fixedly with a peculiar expression on his face. Della stood up and went to him. "Jim, darling," she cried, "don't look at me that way. I cut off my hair and sold it because I couldn't have lived through Christmas without giving you a present. It will grow out again. You won't mind, will you? My hair grows awfully fast. Say, Merry Christmas, Jim, and let's be happy. You don't know what a beautiful, nice gift I have bought for you." "You have cut off your hair?" asked Jim slowly, as if he had difficulty in understanding what Della said. "Cut it off and sold it," said Della. "Don't you like me just as well, Jim? I am me without my hair, am I not?" Jim looked about the room curiously. "You say your hair is gone," he said, almost idiotically. "You needn't look for it," said Della. "It's sold, I tell you, sold and gone. It's Christmas Eve. Be good to me, for I sold it for you." Maybe the hairs of my head were numbered. She went on with a sudden serious sweetness. "But nobody could ever count my love for you. I shall start the supper, Jim." Jim came out of his daze and put his arms around Della. She drew a package from his overcoat pocket and threw it upon the table. "Don't make any mistake about me, Dell," he said. "I don't think there's any haircut that could make me like my girl any less. But if you will unwrap the package, you may see why you had been so bewildered at first." White fingers nimbly tore at the string and paper, and then an ecstatic scream of joy, and then alas, tears and wails, requiring Jim to use all his powers to comfort her. For there lay the combs, the set of combs that Della had worshipped for long in a Broadway window. Beautiful combs, pure tortoise shell with the jeweled rims, just the color to wear in the beautiful varnished hair. They were expensive, she knew, and her heart had yearned for them without the least hope of ever having them. And now they were hers. But the hair that should have been adorned by them was gone. But she hugged the homes to her bosom. After a while, she looked up with a smile and said, "My hair grows so fast, Jim." And then Della leaped up like a little singed cat and cried, "Oh!" Jim had not yet seen his beautiful present. She eagerly held it out to him. "Isn't it dandy, Jim? I hunted all over town to find it to you. You will have to look at the time 100 times a day now. Give me a watch. I want to see how it looks on it." Instead of obeying, Jim flopped down on the couch and put his hands behind the back of his head and smiled. You know what happened? Let's continue reading and understand what the terrible and horrible thing happened to Jim the next moments. So what did she buy as a gift? Yeah, it's a platinum chain for Jim's watch. "Dell," said he, "let's put our Christmas presents away and keep them a while. They are too nice to use just at present. I sold the watch to get the money to buy your combs, and now suppose you could start the supper." So both of them had sacrificed which they consider as very precious for them and for each other. In the last paragraph of the story, the author concludes, the Magi, as you know, were wise men, wonderfully wise men. This Magi is the biblical characters, the three kings who came with the gifts to see infant Jesus at the manger, who brought gifts to baby Jesus. They invented the art of giving Christmas presents. Being wise, their gifts, no doubt, were wise too. And here you have read the story of two foolish children who most unwisely sacrificed for each other the greatest treasures of their home. But in a last word to the wise of these days, let be said that all who have gifts, these two were the wisest. Everywhere they are wisest. They are the Magi, O Henry. I hope you have understood the meaning and summary of the chapter. Read once again to understand it more clearly and enjoy learning. You can read the summary and write the question answers from the link given below of my blog. Read, learn and enjoy learning. Thank you. Have a nice day.